have a special guest, my adorable niece, Melanie. Hi, Melanie.
Hi.
So, Melanie, how did you like the book?
She had her own book. So we went to the library and she got to pick out some books. So she was happy with those.
Were they
Right.
good books? Let me guess.
Were they good books?
Was one of them about a dinosaur?
No. I don't think so.
Oh.
Not this time.
Does she pick out like a stack of books? Because I remember doing that.
No, she gets more distracted. They have these like riser things that are like for climbing on, and she climbs up and down and up and down and up and down and runs around the library. So she just kind of likes to get her energy out. She'll grab a book here and there, but she mostly just likes to run around.
Big wide open space.
Yeah. She's gonna take off here in a minute to go hang out with Dad.
Gonna go have fun with
Right.
that?
You can go with Dad. All right. Bye. Have fun.
All right. How about since Maria nominated the book? I know you hate this, but you go first.
Okay. So the names, I know you.
Oh, I can't pronounce any of them.
It's pretty difficult. Like, I'm so glad the princes' names were normal though.
Miles and Luca.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones I can say, except for like maybe Creel is kind of okay.
Yeah. But the names were a little bit difficult. But I can honestly say I hated that
maid
one
with the L.
maid. Well,
Name.
whatever they call her.
I can't
She's
say
not
her.
really a maid, but she worked at the dress shop in the back
right.
and with the limp.
Well, she becomes the princess's maid at the end.
The seamstress.
Yeah. I honestly hated her like from the get go because she was just like.
No, me too.
Yeah.
I would have beaten her up several times throughout the course of this book. Like, if it was me, I would literally have beat several times.
Yeah.
And I'm not a violent person.
But it's so embarrassing when she finally does confront her and they start fighting. It's like a pathetic little cat fight where they're just like rolling around going like it's kind of pathetic. I mean, at least Creel gets a few punches in, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
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 I know. Honestly, I'm like, girl, if your object is the slippers, then I'm sorry, you don't do what you just did. Like that's not what?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's me being athletic and kind of getting the idea of, you want the slippers, so you need to figure out a way to get them off of her feet.
Yeah.
First.
Well, okay. Maybe it's because I have a lot of siblings who we used to wrestle over things. So I may have a little experience in this. But the number one thing you have to do is pin the person down to get the thing that you want. Right? So you would think that you
No.
She was raised on a farm. She had a brother. How does this girl not know how to fight?
I know, right?
You know?
Like when the bandits attacked her.
I understand her aunt was probably like very against it, and her mom was very against it because she was, trying at least to have some sort of ladylikeness, but still, you still have plenty of opportunities to get in trouble living on a farm with a brother.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like because the princess is a spoiled brat, she probably doesn't even have to pick anything up. So, like, I don't think she would be able to really hold her own against Creel, is my feeling. Somebody who has had to work really hard her whole life, who has done lots and lots of walking to get to the city, and like she's a lot more physical than the princess. So I feel like she should have a little bit of an edge on the princess, at least. But
Right.
that's just me.
So my whole thing was like, girl, just knock her out. Like seriously, you hate this girl enough right now where you could bang her head against the stone and take her slippers.
Yeah.
But that might be a little too violent for like a book, I guess.
Yeah, for a young adult novel.
As they're amongst, it's like it's a war going on, but hitting someone's head against a rock might be too violent.
Yeah. Considering she's considered one of the heroines of the Dragon Wars at the end.
But yeah, I don't know. There's some things about Creel's development that kind of confuses me, like the fact that she does have a brother, and they had a farm for her most of her childhood, actually, like all of it until they lost it and her parents were gone.
Mm-hmm.
But when she talks about it, she's like, she makes it sound like she wasn't allowed to help, really, at all on the farm. Because besides the gathering of eggs, occasionally.
Which really doesn't make sense if you think about it. If
Right,
they're a struggling farm, they can't have any hands, so they need all hands on deck to
and
get stuff done.
they only have two picked out. And then so that was just the first chapter, and I was so like, this is the weirdest book I've ever read. And then like as it went on, I I understood why that all had to happen, but I honestly still think that was the weirdest way for all of it to happen. Her aunt sending her, and the fact that she actually let the dragon take her
Mm-hmm.
when she could have easily just walked away. And then she bargains with him, and she's like, "So this, I don't even remember who he was.
The Lord's son or
The
something.
Lord's son is coming to fight you for me, and I know you don't want that. So, not just let me free, but give me a pair of the shoes." And then he walks away, which I'm like, dude, if you have a really important pair of slippers and you just walk away and you let her mess with all of your shoes.
Well, I was watching her apprehensively, and finally his friend was yelling at him from the other room, so he had to go talk to him. And by the time he came back, she had the slippers on.
And that's another
and
thing.
He couldn't stay back out.
I don't get why the king made slippers of the dragon skin. And how would they fit Creel and the other maid or the other seamstress?
No.
How would they fit him too? Like, like I don't get that. If he's a grown man, plus
they're magic shoes.
what?
They can fit you because of the enchantment. They're magic shoes.
Maybe. But also, I want to know how he knew skinning her and then making something out of her skin would allow him to control dragons. Because I don't get that.
It wasn't just the dragon skin. It was a bunch of alchemy and magic stuff.
it interesting how they, instead of using like just straight up saying it's magic, they just said like alchemy. It was an interesting
Well,
take on that.
natural remedies and such are so magical that even doctors don't recognize them as anything. So it's
Okay,
magic.
let's not go there.
What? It's magic. Just grows on trees.
All right, so Sarah, I know like me, you had read it before, and that you said you didn't really care for it. What did you think about it this next time, rereading it?
I didn't say I didn't care for it, first of all.
Oh.
I just said it wasn't my favorite Jessica George book because, and I think you probably agree that there are better books, but um, I feel like a lot of it was just because it made me so mad because I felt like there were so many points where she was so powerless to do anything and she wasn't trying to do anything in points and I think she should have been. And I just got frustrated with her character because it was like, if it were me, you can dang well be sure I wasn't just going to be sitting in my seamstress shop sewing a dress to try to go to a merchant ball. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that seems like a really selfish way to just kind of ignore the problem that you caused.
I
Because it's like,
personally, yeah, like I would
even
have
though she
gone
doesn't
hiking to
understand
his cave.
how powerful the shoes are, but I literally would have gone and found my dragon friend and told him what happened, and then laid siege on the castle before all this madness even began, because I would have either snuck into the castle to try to get my shoes back, or sabotage, like snuck up on the princess when she was out shopping and stole and like held her ransom until I got my shoes back. Because it's like, there are ways, but doing nothing irritated me so much.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
they are important, and you know they're important. You don't know why they're important. But doing nothing with the gift that was entrusted to you, even though you know it makes all the dragons nervous that you have them, and letting some random spoiled brat princess come in and steal them from you, no, no way I'm gonna just sit by and do nothing. Like, I didn't like that at all.
The only thing that kind of it didn't make me okay with her not doing anything. It just made me understand why she didn't. It said that she doesn't know the way to the cave without flying. So therefore she can't get to it without flying. So that part of going to his cave, I understand that made it me understand why she didn't try that. But to be honest, I would have at least tried and got. I would have wanted to get at least lost in the forest attempting to find him.
Plus, I feel like she should have told Luca and Tobin. Is that how you say his name? About, like, I would have been like, hey, okay, yeah, I'm like, okay, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm kind of friends with the dragon, and then just tell them the whole story about the slippers and be like, I don't know what is with these slippers, but I know there's something special and that we need to get them back. It's really super important that we get these back. And
well,
like,
I don't know, she's kind of weird because there's some moments where I feel like she should tell somebody, but she holds it back and she's not sure. But then she also doesn't really truly know that they're the dragon slippers that control the dragons, so she doesn't know how much of a big deal it is. So, I mean, it's like different moments where she knows there's something about them, but she doesn't know to the full extent that it is until what really freaks her out is the girl going, "Oh yeah, and she flies, dragons and the
by
mirror
the way, the dragonfly, yeah.
and the stained glass," and she like lets those hints out, and she's like, "I am going to kill you. Because now she's like, oh shoot, there's definitely a correlation. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, but I feel like it should have been kind of obvious because even like the way she described seeing the slippers, it was like she was drawn to them for some reason. And then seeing how the other dragons reacted to her having the slippers, I would have, like alarm bells going off. And then the other seamstress putting them on and having that strong of a reaction, I feel like, okay, there is definitely something with these slippers. I don't know what it is, but I need to make sure that they're safe. And I would have taken lengths to make sure they were safe. Even if I didn't know what it was about them, I'm like, there's something about these. I need to keep these safe.
I don't get why she passed out and said she heard voices when Creel didn't hear voices or anything. Like, except for, her feet itching like crazy, which...
Right, and why didn't the princess have that reaction?
Right.
Well, we wouldn't really know if she did, because we don't see it from her point of view or hear her side or anything.
Well, if she did pass out, you think that like, because she didn't wake up until they took the slippers off. So that wouldn't... Yeah.
Right. She wouldn't be able to wear the slippers then.
Right. So maybe it's like yeah, it does make sense because it's not like a peer of a heart type of a thing because the princess is a, jerk.
Yeah.
I, for one, when Creel met the princess and stepped on her dog and that whole interaction, I was like, wow, if this is going to be their future queen, I think that they should keep her locked in the castle until after the wedding so that the town people don't already hate her. But that was literally just my thought. Like, if they were so serious about it, they should not expose her to their townspeople because they would want to kill her.
Yeah. Well, plus, who would want a queen like that if she thinks that she's so far above everybody that she treats people like dirt, demanding the shoes off of their feet, pulling their hair, and just overall being the spoiled brat to the point where us, the readers, want to wring her neck.
For her way.
Yeah.
She was literally going around slapping people.
Yeah.
I know.
What?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I get that you're like, okay, we kind of need this political marriage for gain, but
honestly,
I think the people should come first and like be like, you know what? We don't want your daughter. She treats our people horribly, and we don't want a queen that treats our people horribly. Deal with it. Maybe you should have raised a better daughter. But then again, it's those people from the country I can't pronounce.
And if she really was undercover trying to find their weakness, you would think she would try less to irritate everyone.
Maybe that was her trying less. Slapping people.
If that's her trying less, I don't want to see her full colors.
No, you won't, because she dies.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like she should have, like, I don't know. It was kind of an anticlimactic death, in my opinion.
But I cried when the dragons went in. Not for her, but for the dragons. I'm like, he finds out his mate's alive. She goes into a poisonous sea, and he watches her basically kill herself. And he goes in after her because he doesn't want to live without her. And I'm just bawling my eyes out. I apparently didn't remember very much of the book, so I was kind of glad I reread it. But yeah, I bawled my eyes out.
You're welcome. Yeah, I came in last
I was gonna say, the only thing I did remember was Ethan 5, so I was not really emotional emotional about it because I knew
Yeah.
there are sequels with the mythics, so yeah.
I know, me too. So last night when Brittany was finishing reading the book, I came into her room and she's like, I was just bawling because he just died. And I'm like, oh.
Oh.
And she's like, did you not feel the same way? I was like, well, no.
And I'm like, are you heartless? That was my reaction. I'm like, oh my gosh, how could you not bawl your eyes out at that? That is just so tragic.
I just got the feeling that I knew. I mean, like, I didn't know for sure exactly. I just felt like he wasn't really gonna die. And I was right. Because that would have been just horrible. But,
Right?
okay.
Like, how about that ending?
That would have been a terrible ending. So,
we're recording. Don't you see the sign? You can come in and talk to her afterwards, okay? I literally had to put a sign on my door to tell our parents.
And obviously it didn't work.
Yeah. It never works. They still come in. Okay. Yeah.
Because they hear their favorite daughter's voice and are like, hey, we want to talk to her.
Zoe wasn't barking.
Okay, just because we know that's true doesn't mean you have to say it.
What, I haven't said that in like a year.
Okay, anyway, so Brittany and I have the alternative ending that we have not discussed yet. Okay, first of all, let's establish one thing. We do not ship Creel and Luca. We don't ship it.
No!
I don't ship it.
No, stop claiming things that aren't happening. I don't ship relationships, Brittany. I am not a sailor of those stupid ships. Thank you. Those all can sink. Alright. No, I think I like him.
I like him as a character. I just don't see them as a couple. Personally.
Brittany, they're not a couple. And if they are eventually, they're not yet. Anyways. So
she kisses him in the end.
Does that mean they're a couple?
That means there's something.
He's a prince.
He's a prince. He doesn't go around kissing.
Way to skip ahead, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so when the king is like, so now for your reward, and he's like, you're gonna marry the crown prince, Miles, and I was like, that? Yes, let's do that from a writing standpoint. And ended out as that, and she's like kind of grief stricken from her dragon dying, and the fact that he's her king, and she should respect him and not outright defy him in front of all of those councilmen, lords, ladies, all that bit, because what king would actually like somebody defying him, for one?
Even if it's a hero who saved the country in the middle of a war.
Right. Especially if it was her. If I was those lords, ladies, townspeople heard about her defiance towards the king, she was the heroine, they're like, maybe we should get behind her, and then, some other war will break out. She's got the dragons on her side. Just saying, going that route would be quite...
And I just... Even though she is very outspoken, and she fought dragons, kind of, she proved she faced dragons. She literally went into a war zone to get the slippers back. So she is brave, but I just don't feel like it's appropriate for her to be disrespectful to her king.
Right. So I think that even if she felt the way she did, which obviously she does.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to marry Miles. He doesn't want to marry her because
he probably knows his brother has a thing for her.
I don't know. I
Maybe
don't
just a
know.
little bit of that, or
I don't know if he does, because Miles honestly, I don't know. You don't get to know him that much too.
or maybe he's
No,
like,
their
hey, the
relationship.
last patrol girl I was just in went horribly, horribly bad, so I'd like to be not betrothed for a little while.
Right. So
That's probably mostly it.
Yeah.
so we're like, she doesn't speak out against her king. It doesn't obviously she doesn't have to marry Miles, but I would hold on to that for being the end, so that in the next one you're like, oh my gosh, is she gonna be forced to marry this guy? And
The added drama of like her having a crush on her patrol's brother and him having a crush on her too, and it's just like kind of drama.
And then him being like, you're engaged to my brother, and like, honestly, I would prefer if he stepped up and was like, hey, Dad, I
Take me instead.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, you gotta think about it like from a political standpoint, from the king's, I get why he wanted that because let's face it, she now has a reputation of being a hero, of being chummy with the dragons, and I would imagine that that would spread pretty quickly to other countries.
And
so the other country and the townspeople. So the townspeople and the country, or like the entire country, probably respect her and like her for one. And then the other countries would have a healthy fear of her because she's chummy with dragons. So politically speaking, I feel like it is a smart move to make her the future queen.
Right.
So I get why the king
Right.
would want to do it. I really do. So overall, I think.
Plus, an opening just came for his son's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last one, because he's still trying to get him married.
Yeah, he has to be married. He has to produce an heir because that's how royalty goes. Weird, yes, but that's how it is. And
it's not weird. You may not like it. Doesn't make it weird.
I think I feel more weird about just saying producing an heir. Because it's just like, let's produce it out of thin air, But like, it's something that is the responsibility of the heir to the throne. You have to get married. You have to have heirs. You have to have an heir and a spare. That's kind of how it goes.
Oh gosh. Look, I loved it. Sorry, this is like a total side note. But I loved it when she was like talking about Luca and she's like, oh, but he's just the second son. I was just like,
Everyone's like, you're talking about a prince here, not just some like apprentice.
If anything happens to his brother, he's ascended to the throne. And just going by the history of England, they have had a lot of instances where the second son comes to the throne because the eldest son dies or whatever. So that is why they have an heir and a spare because it is very important. So he is still in line for the throne until his brother gets married and has an heir. He is the next up.
yeah, but she doesn't care.
No.
No. Because honestly, they tease each other a lot, where it's almost like brother and sister, but they do have feelings for each other.
So it's more like, I think you used Elizabeth and Darcy.
Yeah, because Brittany was like, I don't like it. They're like brother and sister. I can see them as a brother and sister, or
like really good friends.
Really good friends or in-laws like thing. So if she does marry Miles, then her and Luca could be good brother and sister-in-law. And I'm like, no, they actually like each other. They have feelings for each other in a romantic sense.
But
I don't think there's any going back from that where you could just be brother and sister-in-law, especially. And so then I was like, it's like Elizabeth and Darcy, where she really teases him and whatnot.
Yeah. I really don't like at the end when he comes to see her after not seeing her for a really long time. and he teases
Tries
her.
to make her jealous
Yeah.
of herself.
And I'm just like, okay, there are very few instances where I'm okay with that kind of a, like, trying to make the person jealous. And it's like,
Like the one that we just did. The scenario.
oh, kind of. But, like, it would have to be under certain circumstances where, like, say the other person was, I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it. But, like, it's very few instances where I'm okay with that. And this instance isn't one of them. Because she literally turns down another guy. And not that she straight out said that it was for him, but, you know, like, I feel like...
His reaction was a bit weird for me.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it was, like, the
So was the Earl.
Like, you know, like, when someone gets hurt and you laugh out of nervousness?
A nervous laugh.
Maybe it was something like that, where he was just laughing because he was so glad that she actually said something. Or, I don't know. Because I just thought it was weird that he just, like, burst out laughing. And then the other lord was kind of like, oh, that's funny.
I think that their reaction, because that they are trained to have a sense of duty. And so I think he would see this as a neglect of the duty on her part and disrespect. So I just don't think that that is very realistic to have the Earl be amused by her being disrespectful to their king. But that's just me.
Yeah. And then Luke's laughing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. So she gets a dress shop. Great. And he's like, woo!
It's such a weird way to get a dress shop, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I got this in a war. I was the hero of the war, and they gave me a shop. Okay.
I think it irritated me because...
And the king's like, well, at least put on a plaque or something.
Yeah.
That this is why she has it, and put my name, gifted by king. Like, okay.
Yeah, so he can get at least some credit from the townspeople.
Yeah. But I feel irritated about that because, first of all, that's kind of bold of her to ask that. But then also, I'm like, I know she could do that on her own. Like, she already impressed people at the merchant ball. I mean, yes, the dragons attacked, so it stopped. But I think she definitely could have done it
I
on
would
her
have
own.
preferred the Earl get her alone and become her sponsor. Because he wasn't wanting to do it because of the threat of war, but then he was like, well, you saved us all, so it's the least I could do would be to be your sponsor. And then go into business with her.
Yeah.
Not literally have her gifted as a reward the shop.
Yeah.
Right. And then she would actually be able to build it up herself and proof herself versus having it be already made.
Yeah.
And then yeah, when he comes into the shop when it's a year, what was it, a year later?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, there's another girl in his life.
And she's like, of course he has another,
Yeah, he met someone in the land. Which I'm like, dude, you go off to the land where that princess was from? I'm sorry, but I would be really extra skeptical of finding a person if that was a real thing. So in Creel's mind, she should probably be like, and it has to be that country where they produce crazies.
Yeah, overall, it was just in poor taste. In my personal opinion.
Yeah, and then I was like, and I hope she rewards me with a kiss
instead of the brotherly hug she normally gives me. I'm just like,
I was like,
you let him
so
get in a hug.
cringy.
Like, considering the standard of propriety.
I know.
You're lucky you got a hug at all, buddy.
Right, like that was way too much. In fact,
that was
you should probably be engaged because of how many times you've hugged.
and
Just
been
saying.
alone in a room together.
Oh, absolutely. Like scandalous. Come on. I mean, he's a prince.
And she's a seamstress.
He may or may not get away with whatever he wants to because he's a prince, but he still should have a sense of, or at least a want to follow the rules of society, which apparently we know more than a lot of authors. Not that Jessica J. George doesn't. It's just,
or maybe we just place
no
more
evidence of
importance
it.
on it.
True, we do. We're sticklers for historically accurate scenarios in society where how behavior is, and no, there is no kissing. And not even on the wedding day. Okay?
Well, not. Oh, Zoe wants out. Could you open the door for her?
Baby, you're so sad.
Yeah. Do you have a book you're gonna recommend, Maria?
I do.
Okay. Because sometimes she forgets. Just wanted to.
I don't have it with me because it's from the library and hasn't come in yet.
Okay.
Is that what we're doing now?
No, I just wanted to make sure. Or we could do that now.
So, Sarah, what do you think of our alternative ending? Or beginning?
I don't know. I feel like it doesn't really affect as much if you're reading it as a series, you know. If you're just reading the one book, it kind of ruins it for you because it's a bad way to end a book.
But wouldn't
yes, it's a cliffhanger, but I hate cliffhangers.
Yeah. But wouldn't you agree that she shouldn't have been so disrespectful to the king?
Well, and yes and no, because I feel like it's just like with how she talks to Luca. You know, she doesn't have that level of reverence for her sovereign that you would expect at that time. But it's not like it's just coming out at the end. It's something that's been clear throughout the whole book.
Well,
she just doesn't have that. She knows she should, but she doesn't.
When she met the king the first time, she didn't say hardly anything. So, from going from that to outright, no, I'm going to have a dress shop, you're going to give it to me,
I suppose facing dragons could do that to
you
you.
keep saying that, but to be honest, there's a sense of facing dragons, and then there's completely the other stuff.
I don't know. I just feel like
it's a different kind of bravery, if you want to call it that.
I don't know.
Yeah, but overall, I am glad that Maria made me reread it because after reading it, I realized that I remembered like maybe 1% of the story, and so I was glad to revisit it, and because I read it maybe like 6 years ago, so it was a really long time ago. Um, so my perspective has changed, and I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I don't hate it. You know me, I love dragons, so that is awesome. I wish dragons were real because I would love to be a friend to a dragon, be friends with a dragon. I think that'd be awesome. But obviously I can't because they're not. But I have to agree with you. I think the biggest reason why I just don't love it, is because half the time I'm just so stinking frustrated with the other seamstress being just so annoying. Seal being like, why are you just sitting there? Creel, excuse me. Why are you just sitting there embroidering a dress for the merchant ball when you have this strong feeling that something bad is gonna happen? Get up off your feet and do something.
I know, and I feel like the fact that she thinks it's literally the only thing she can do is kind of weird because there's options. It's like you could just leave and go live in the forest, which she's probably like, the bandits are there, so I don't want to go meet them again. But do what she does. She goes to her friends. I mean, Tobin's sister. At the end. And
Oh my gosh, I love that in the end, Tobin and Martha get engaged.
Who's Martha?
The other seamstress. Isn't her name Martha?
Marta.
Marta. Okay. Whatever. However you say her name. I love that. I ship it. I think they'd be so cute.
I'm wondering how old he is. Is that just me?
It sounded like he wasn't older than Luca. He just was bigger.
But I don't know, because they said that he had been a bodyguard to Luca for 10 years. But they also don't say how old Marta is either.
True.
Right.
So, I mean, she could be older than Creel.
Probably is.
Yeah. All right, shall we nominate our books?
Yeah, I was just gonna go get it. Across the room. So far.
Okay. Then I'll go first while you're getting yours. The book I am nominating is Shocker, a Fairy Tale Retelling. A Whole New World by Liz Braswell. I love this. What if Aladdin had never found the lamp? I don't know if you can see it. It is
I
on
almost
the cover.
got that book for you for Christmas.
Oh,
I'm not even gonna lie. I was standing in the bookstore looking at a display of all of those books. And I was like, okay, I know she's read some of these, but I don't know which ones. And so I was trying to remember, and I was going to get you some, but I didn't. Because I didn't want to get you one you already had or read.
Maria got
Anyway,
me 3 of them for Christmas a couple years ago. So I have A Whole New World, Once Upon a Dream, Tale as Old as Time. So, Beauty and the Beast retelling, Snow
I
Sleeping
knew you
Beauty.
had that one.
Yeah, I've read the Tale as Old as Time, and I'm halfway through Once Upon a Dream, but I haven't started this one yet. So here, I'll read the back. Aladdin is a street rat. Like most, he's just trying to survive another day in impoverished Agrabah. Jasmine is a princess, one who is about to enter into an arranged marriage, excuse me. All she wants is to escape her fate, to see what lies beyond the palace walls. I love that line because in the Broadway production, they have a song that's called Palace Walls, or Beyond These Palace Walls, or something, and it's awesome. You should check it out. But everything changes when the Sultan's trusted advisor, Jafar, suddenly rises to power. With the help of an ancient lamp, Jafar attempts to break the laws of magic and gain control over love and death. Soon Aladdin and the demon-possessed Princess Jasmine must unite the people of Agrabah in rebellion to stop the power-mad ruler threatening to tear the kingdom apart. This isn't the story you already know. This is a story about power, about revolutionaries, and about love, and about one moment changing everything. I think it sounds awesome. All right, Sarah, what did you nominate?
I have The Warrior Maiden by Melanie Dickinson. Dickerson, and it's basically a Mulan retelling. It's not Mulan, but it's the character Mulan in a kind of different setting, kind of thing. I started reading it this week. I read the first couple chapters just to get a feel for the book. So far, it's not at all like the movie or like the original story, but it is interesting. So I guess I can read the back. She knows women are expected to marry, cook, and have children, not go to war. She can manage to stay alive, can she manage to stay alive, save her mother, and keep a handsome son of a duke from discovering her secret? When Mulan takes her father's place in a battle against the besieging Teutonic Knights, she realizes she has been preparing for this journey her whole life, and that her life and her mother's depends on her success. As the adopted daughter of poor parents, Mulan has little power in the world. If she can't prove herself on, or perhaps worse, married to the village butcher. Disguised as a young man, Mulan meets the German duke's son, Wolfgang, who is determined to save his people, even if it means fighting against his own brother. Wolfgang is by the new soldier who, exasperated by the new soldier who seems to be one step away from disaster at all times, or showing him up in embarrassing ways. From rivals to reluctant friends, Wolfgang and Mulan to share secrets. But war is an uncertain time, and dreams can die as quickly as they were born. When Mulan receives word of danger back home, she must make the ultimate choice. Can she be the son her bitter father never had, or will she become the strong young woman she was created to be? This fresh reimagining of the classic old tale takes us to 15th century Lithuania, where both love and war challenge the strongest of hearts. There you go.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so my book that I picked is The Strangers by Margaret Peterson Haddix. Um, what makes you you? The Greystone kids thought they knew. Chase, Emma, and Finn have always been a happy family, but the three of them and their mother. Wait, just the three of them and their mother. But everything changes when reports of three kidnapped children reach the Greystone kids, and they're shocked by the startling similarities between themselves and these complete strangers.
Weird.
So, like, it's do they find out that they have secret relatives they didn't know about or something? No. Uh, that's all I know. Okay. All right, Sarah, you vote first.
I'm gonna vote for mine. I haven't done that before, but I'm gonna vote for my own this time
Okay.
because I can.
Yes, you can. That's okay. Maria, who do you vote for? What book do you vote for?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet?
Nope.
Honestly, I'm torn because yours sounds great, but I'm also really interested in this one. They're both fairy tale retellings. I don't know if anybody can tell, but we seem to really like those. I mean, how many have we done so far for the book club? Um, we've done several.
Couple.
Sarah, what's your book called again?
Warrior Maiden. The Warrior Maiden.
Oh my gosh, there was one that I came across that I almost was gonna nominate. It's called what is it called? It's called something like The Princess Posse, where the premise is that there is a group of princesses from different countries that have to go to this one country because the prince, who is the heir to the throne, is coming of age and he has to choose a bride. And so they're going for like this ball, and apparently the prettiest and the one that they thought was most likely to be chosen gets kidnapped. And by this time, the princesses are all friends, so they're like, hey, you know what? Let's go after her and save our friend. And so they go after her and to try and save their friend, but then the prince is like, well, I better go save the princesses, so he goes after them. And it just sounded very interesting.
Sounds funny.
Mhm. It sounded a bit more like a comedy than like a comedy adventure type story. Um, so yeah.
So what are you voting then?
I don't. I'll vote for Sarah's. I'll vote for Sarah's.
Okay.
Yay!
Good thing I just found it at the library.
Oh, did you?
I put it on hold.
Oh, good. Is it like an audio?
No.
She's back there putting it on hold, like, okay, what do you vote for? Because I just put it on hold.
It's true, especially if you have to wait.
I'm reading anyway.
Sometimes if you have to wait like forever. Okay. That was a violent
I
shake.
know I've had a book on hold at the library for weeks, and it's killing me. I hate waiting.
Mhm.
Sometimes I won't even like. I'll decide to read something else because it's not available right away, or because it's like on Libby. If it's an audiobook or something, and you have to wait for it, and it tells you how many are in line ahead of you, it's like, oh, why?
Yeah.
And then it's like, it says when it'll be back, but that doesn't mean that's when they're going to be done with it. So you'll have to wait forever. And then it doesn't notify you when you get it. So you have to be like vigilant of going on there to look to see when you get it. Otherwise, you go on and it goes, oh, you returned it already. What? I've been waiting for weeks and weeks for this book, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That
I've had
happened.
that happen too many times.
Yeah, I've had it happen so many times. In fact, just recently, I have been waiting 6 months for a audiobook. They didn't tell me it was ready for me to borrow, and then I just got a notification yesterday saying that I could no longer borrow it or that it was returned or whatever. And I'm just like, I didn't even know it was there that I could do. You know, like I've been waiting so long for it that I forgot about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I really wanted to read that, but now I can't. And now if I want to put another hold on it, I have to wait another 6 months. And it's just frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. The joy of wanting to read popular books.
Yeah.
Or like new books that come out.
Yeah.
I always find it funny how the first book in a series usually has a line, and then you get to the second or third or fourth book, and there's never a line. So it's like people read the first book, but not the rest.
I do that sometimes.
Which is kind of sad to me because it's like, you're going to read a series. I go out of my way to find series because I hate it when the story ends. I hate endings, okay? If I get really invested in a character or a world, I want it to go on and on forever. So if I find a series that I really love, I'm so glad when it has like a ton of books that I can just keep reading. And even if I don't read them all in a row, just to know that there's a book there for me to grab onto when I feel like going back to that world, I can. It's comforting.
Yeah.
I'm usually like that where I like series, but there's been a couple books where I'll read the first one and I'm like I enjoyed it, but I have no interest in any further stories from that world or series
And
or
I get
those
that.
characters.
Sometimes it's just not a great book. It's not like it doesn't get you, you know.
Yeah. Um, I think the series that was the most recent for me where I was like that is a Hallmark made a movie series out of it where I think it's called Murder She Baked, where it's about this baker who tries to solve a murder in her small little hometown, and there's a new hotshot detective from the big city that just comes because he recently lost his wife and he wanted to get out of the big city and he wanted to change. That was the excuse they gave. Which I was just
That's
like,
kind of stupid.
yeah, that's half of the reason why I didn't continue reading it after that. But that, and then also, I'm just like, she's a baker. Like, it's not as interesting to watch a baker try to catch a killer, especially because she almost gets killed and she only barely stumbles on the answer. It's not like she actually like figured it out. She just kind of like stumbles on it and it's just like, "Oh, wait a second. I happen to be alone in a house far in the country away from people with the killer. You're the killer. Oops, I shouldn't have said that out loud to you. Now you have a gun on me kind of moment." So I didn't want to continue the series. But yeah, so that's just me. Well, I guess we will conclude book club for today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for participating as always. Um, Again, if you guys, the audience, have any ideas on books you would want to nominate, feel free to leave them in the comments below. We will check them out. And we will see you next time. Bye!
Bye.